Well, I have an update on the 2000 Toyota Camry, and it is not good. Way worse than what I thought it was going to be. And so I'll just show you what's. That is all metal. You can see pieces of bearing material in there. Looks like a hair. That's what's left of the bearings and whatever metal it has taken off the crank. And yeah, I don't even think this engine's savable. And not by me, maybe by a machinist. And that's what looks like pieces of gearing. At least to me. That looks like this one right here. Let's see if I can get it to focus. That is some big chunks of metal, and that is not from a bearing. So whatever's broken in there is really, really broken. And with chunks this big floating around in there, and that mess over there, I'm going to say none of the bearings in this motor are good. Not the cam bearings, not the crank bearings, nothing. I would go as far to say that the crank and the cam are probably both severely damaged. Because I've pulled less metal out of other motors, and those internal parts are no longer good. At this point, I mean, I've done this myself too. Like, I gotta ask myself, do I get another motor? Do I pay a machine shop a bunch of money to fix all the damage and try to reuse as much of the old stuff as possible? Or do I just junk it? And long story, probably the greatest lesson I've ever dealt with is I actually had an 87 Cutlass Sierra that I really liked. It was my first car, and I had all kinds of things I wanted to do to it. Long story short is I seized the motor in that. I went and bought a long block. I swapped everything over that I could, and the motor ran great. It was awesome. Had all kinds of power that it was supposed to have, and that's not the case with this one. As far as I know, to my knowledge, that there's nothing else wrong with this except for the motor's junk. In my case, I seized the motor and put this new motor in it. It ran beautifully, and turned out it had a faulty computer. I took it to a somewhat reputable shop, from what I was told in that time, which was about 20 years ago. And I paid them $300. And they spent about 3 or 4 hours on this thing trying to figure out what was going on with it. And they just told me, short of doing all the wiring for the computer and the motor, rewiring it, they couldn't fix it. And they weren't gonna fix it. So I paid them $300 to let me know that they couldn't fix it, which is fine. And I ended up taking that car to the scrapyard with a brand new motor in it. Of course, I was also 19, so it was quite a few years ago. But this is not an engine that I can rebuild. Not with as much damage that, and this is a lot of metal. I mean, that's just, it's not savable. Without a lot of machining and a lot of newer parts. At this point, it'd probably be cheaper just to find a reman or a pre-used that has no miles and no issues and put that in here. So that's where it's at, and guess we'll find out where we go from here. So have a wonderful day, and I hope I explained this well enough to you, and now you have an informed decision.